Hello everybody, my name's Mitch and today we're going to go over Till versus Vettori, UFC Fight Night Till versus Vettori, full card fight predictions. If you're new here, we go over the picks first and then we'll go over the reasons why. So we'll go into the picks here. We have Sasha, William Knight, Louis Saldana, Jack Shore, Yorgan de Castro, Ignacio Bahamandes, Bia Malecki, Metsu Gamrat, Joe Salecki, Daniel Rodriguez, Nina Anseroff, Julian Martinez, Aliakab Kritsiv, Sadiq Yusuf, and Marvin Vittori. So those are the picks. Now I'll go into the reasons why. Alright, so first we have Impa versus Sasha. On Impa's side of things, we see in his last fight, we know what happened in this Buckley fight. But for the fight that was there, and also his fight against Maki Pitolo, I feel like he was just kind of cruising. On the other side, we have Sasha Nikov, and in his last fight against Louis Kosh, this fight gave me everything that I needed to see, or everything that I want to see. It was kind of like a comeback fight. He weathered a storm. He kicked a bunch. He used a lot of cardio. He pressured, and he got the finish. I really liked. He did a bunch of spinning shit. Shout out to Nick Diaz, and yeah, I'm gonna go with Sasha with this one. We have Deung versus William Knight. Starting on Deung's side, he had a draw with Sam Alvey. Didn't look really great, and both fighters looked really tired by the end of it. On the other side of things, we have William Knight. He's undefeated in the UFC. In his last fight, he looked really strong. I'm going with power. I'm going with William Knight. Next we have Louis Saldana versus Jordan Griffin. Louis Saldana's making his UFC debut. He got his last win with a front kick to the face. It was a pretty nasty kick. And then on the other side we have Jordan Griffin. He is currently 1-3 in the UFC. It's not looking great for him. I could see a late finish for Louis Saldana, kind of similar to his last fight. Late finish, front kick to the face. It was pretty nasty. I recommend checking that out. We're going with Louis Saldana. Next we have Hunter Azure versus Jack Shore. If we look at Hunter Azure, there's nothing too exciting. He has a win here, lost to Brian Kelleher, and another unanimous win. If we look on Jack Shore's side, we see that he looks like a crazy man and he's holding a belt. His nickname is Tank. And he seems to finish literally everybody. In his amateur, he's just finishing people. I assume these were all finishes since 2012. He's been getting everyone out of there, winning fights, entered the UFC, still doing it, undefeated. We're going to go with Jack Shore here. Looks like he's on a tear. It's going to be crazy to watch. Next we have Yorgan de Castro versus Jairus Danyo. This one is really mostly because of activity. While we have 2 losses in a row here to Greg Hardy and Carlos Felipe, at least he's in the ring and fighting pretty often. On the other side of things, we see that this man has not been in the ring since 2016 when he lost. Who knows what he's been doing since, but I'm going to go with activity here. Next we have John Mcdesi versus Ignacio Bahamandes. Both of these fighters are great strikers, and I imagine this fight stays on the feet the whole time. Ignacio Bahamandes is taller and much longer. I feel like he's also probably hungrier. I'm going to go with Ignacio Bahamandes. Next we have Bia Malecki versus Norma Dumont Viana. Similar to the last fight, I think that the taller striker is going to take it, although I think Bia Malecki is also the better striker of the two. She's a Muay Thai. I think she's a Muay Thai champion according to her Instagram. She's 5'9" with a 74-inch reach. Norma Dumont, on the other hand, is 5'7" with a 67-inch reach. I'm going with Bia Malecki. Next we have Scott Holtzman versus Miatsu Gamrat. Starting with Scott Holtzman, we see that he is 37, which is, getting older for fighting. He's been in there with, Drew Dober, Nick Lentz, Vanille Dariush are his losses. On the other side, we have Gamrat. In this fight, was his first loss in MMA, although he definitely won that fight. Even Guram told him he won that fight after I thought he won that fight, at least. At any rate, he's pretty well-rounded. He does everything pretty well. I'm going to go with Gamrat here. Next, we have Jim Miller versus Joe Salecki. Similar to the last one, we're going to side with age. We have also skills, though. We have Jim Miller here, 37 years old. Real quick, I want to highlight this. Dustin, Anthony Pettis, Francisco Trinaldo, Dan Hooker, Charles Oliveira. I mean, he's been there with the best of them. Scott Holtzman, the guy we were just talking about. And now he is fighting Joe Salecki, who is just looking dominant. In his last fight, he honestly looks really light on the feet. Striking looks good. Eventually gets in, takes the back, chokes him out, gets the finish. I'm going with Joe Salecki in this one. Next, we have Mike Perry versus Daniel Rodriguez, and ultimately I'm picking Daniel Rodriguez because I can't trust Mike Perry, that he's even training or whatever. Part of me feels like when it's time for him to weigh in, he just cuts the best he can and then tries to weigh in and then fights and then gets paid anyway, because he probably gets paid more than other fighters anyway, and I'm just not sure how motivated he is. But we can take a look at his last fights anyway. Mickey Gall is his only win out of his last 4 fights. If you want to do some MMA math, his loss to Tim Means here. Daniel Rodriguez beat Tim Means. Daniel Rodriguez is pretty game. He's pretty good at everything, although I feel like he gets hit quite a bit, and that's where I'm worried. I could see Mike Perry knocking him out, honestly, but if there's no KO, I see Daniel Rodriguez winning this fight, or I think he could KO as well, but I honestly don't see this fight going 3 rounds, but I think Daniel Rodriguez is going to be the victor. Late finish would be my ultimate prediction, but if it does go to decision, also I think Daniel Rodriguez would win that. I just can't trust Mike Perry's going to be there for 3 rounds. Next, we have Nina Anseroff versus Mackenzie Dern. Starting with Nina Anseroff, we all know that she at least trains with Amanda Nunes, which is going to be great. If we look here, she's got quite the win streak and then loses to Tatiana Suarez here, which is okay because everyone loses to Tatiana Suarez. I feel like Mackenzie Dern would also lose to Tatiana Suarez, but that's not the point. She's got a win coming off of a win other than the loss to Tatiana Suarez. She has a win over Claudia Gadelha, which I think is a pretty respected win as well. Mackenzie Dern on the other side, she's coming off of a win streak of her own. Her last loss was to Amanda Ribas. I think that Nina Anseroff clearly has the higher competition experience, and as well as potential training. I see Nina Anseroff winning a decision here. Next, we have Sam Alvey versus Julian Martinez. Starting with Sam Alvey's side, we see that he's on quite the loss streak. I guess he got a draw here, and he's now seemingly being fed to Julian Martinez, who looks like he could be a potential cash cow for Dana White after his Miley Cyrus call-out, where he terribly responded with something about her getting a tattoo after she said something about him. Something about Valentine's Day. She actually responded. At any rate, he's also got a pretty good history on top of that. Alessio De Trico, I feel like, is not a bad loss. I'm pretty sure he just came off of a pretty good win over, I think it was Jaqueen Buckley, where he kind of dominated in that fight. But at any rate, other than that, he's got a win over Darren Stewart here, Maki Pitulu, Phil Haas. I see Julian Marquez taking this fight. Next, we have Kyle Dawkis versus Alex Shabir. Thanks to Khabib, everyone has Russian fighter fever, and it's nothing against Kyle Dawkis, but it is what it is. Here's Kyle Dawkis' history, though, if you want to look at it. Now, speaking of the Russian fever, this guy fits the bill perfectly. He has a bunch of finishes in the first round. It's kind of nuts, actually. And he's Russian, and he's undefeated, and his striking is even, kind of looks subpar. So I feel like that fits the whole Russian fighter stereotype. But I'm going to go with Kris here. Next we have Sadiq Yusuf versus Arnold Allen. If we look at Sadiq Yusuf, his last fight was against Andre Fili, and it was a pretty good bout, a pretty tough bout. Unanimous decision, 29-28, I think, across the board it was. He had good takedown defense. He got taken down quite a bit as well, but would stand back up. So maybe I should say wrestling defense, rather. He looks very strong, fast. On the other hand, we have Arnold Allen, bunch of wins, in his own right, but his competition, I feel like, just isn't as high. This win against Andre Fili, I guess, really impressed me, and also his power, his knockout power, that threat. His hands are always heavy throughout the whole fight. I'm going with Sadiq Yusuf. Last but not least, we have the main event, Darren Till versus Marvin Vettori. Starting with Darren Till's side, we see that he's coming off of a loss to Robert Whittaker, a win against Gastelum, a loss to Jorge Masvidal, and then a loss to Tyron Woodley, a win against Stephen Thompson, which I feel like he debatably did not win, and then a win against Arnold Cerrone, who he is just bigger than. This loss to Tyron Woodley, I feel like, kind of stands out to me because he's the last guy to not beat Tyron Woodley, and also was bigger than all of the guys Tyron Woodley lost to after him, if that makes any sense. We have Kamaru Usman, Colby Covington. They're all Gilbert Burns and Luque are all supposedly smaller than Darren Till, or at least they fight at a weight class smaller than Darren Till. Yet Darren Till could not beat Tyron Woodley. He couldn't do the same thing that the other. I don't know. I feel like that's kind of sus. Anyway, on the other hand, we have Marvin Vettori, who is just kind of crazy. I feel like he's better at MMA, if that makes sense. Darren Till might seem like a better striker, but I feel like Marvin Vettori is better at MMA, and it's going to be a fight. Either way, I'm excited for it, but I am picking Marvin Vettori. Hey, thanks for watching this video. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff. Follow me on whatever platforms and for more content. If you are interested in this here bobblehead or any UFC bobbleheads, go ahead and check out my Twitter. On my pinned tweet, there is a bobblehead giveaway. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all Saturday. Peace.